One of the more time-efficient ways to keep your pipeline of material well stocked is to actually share other people's content, or content curation, you may have heard it called. But the question is, what about legal content? Should you be sharing other lawyers' content? That's the question of the day. My name is Chris Hargraves, and this is Digital Marketing Mastery for Lawyers. You can find this and more at digitalmarketingforlawyers.com, but for the moment, listen up to what I have to say about some content curation strategies, because I think there is a healthy dose of concern that if you share another lawyer's content, you're actually giving them a thumbs up, like you're effectively giving them a referral. Is that really a big problem? I don't know. I'm not convinced it's as big a problem as what a lot of people would say it is. But accepting that many people aren't going to agree with me on that, I think there are still some good content curation strategies you can use that will mean you don't have to produce quite as enormous amounts of content as you otherwise might think you need to, but can still share other perspectives and interesting things with your potential clients in your network on social media or generally or through your email marketing or whatever. So let's deal with the biggest question first, which is it really a problem? The reason I don't think it's a huge problem is because you sort of get the benefit of the share. So even if Bruce wrote the article, if I share it, I get the engagement. But firstly, a thumbs up from Bruce because he appreciates me sharing his article. But secondly, I get other people with valuable information and insight potentially to comment and engage and to have conversation with. So I don't think there's a huge potential problem that all of my clients are going to immediately terminate their retainers and run to Bruce simply because I shared one of Bruce's articles. I think that is a slightly higher degree of concern than you really need to have. The truth is, content is about providing valuable content to your people. And if Bruce has produced a valuable piece of content and you have saved them the time by finding it and sharing it and offering an insight of your own onto the topic, I don't think you're going to take too much of a hit, if any. And frankly, I think the upsides outweigh the downsides. These days, there are more and more lawyers who are quite content to share the things written by other people in their own industry. It is a far more collaborative and collegiate way to do it, rather than viewing yourself as being in this live or die sort of competition with the adversary of the other law firm or the other lawyer. But if I haven't convinced you by any of that, there are other things you can do. The first is to curate industry-related topics. So if you work in an industry, there's plenty going on, whether it's intellectual property or government or immigration or construction. If you have an industry specialization, then I'm sure you can have half a dozen different news sources that constantly produce information that is relevant and useful and timely for your audience that you don't necessarily need to write yourself every single time. Sometimes you might, but you don't always want to be able to have to do that. So share industry news. You can do this fairly easily using a queue program for your social media like Buffer or Agorapulse or any of the others. If this gets dated and neither of those exist by the time you're listening to this, then find something else. There are plenty of social media dashboards that allow you to queue up things rather than just share 16 articles within 2 minutes and actually share them progressively throughout the course of a week. So do that. The other thing you can do is, of course, find lawyers who are in your industry but not immediately competitive with you. So they might be interstate, they might be overseas, or they might, for whatever reason, just have no particular competition with you. Maybe they're a government lawyer, maybe they just have no direct overlap with your clientele, even though they are producing articles that are relevant to your clients. So that is a good way to do it too. That is, find competition who is not competitive with you and share their material. And again, this is a way of valuably expanding your own audience as well. Because as you share other people's material, and often they will comment on it if you've tagged them in it, if it's a social media share, then that exposes you to their audience. And if there's enough overlap, then their audience is probably going to include people who you would like to get in front of at some point or maintain a relationship with. And so that is a useful way of expanding your audience. If you try and be this sort of lone wolf, this island of content creation, then you lose those opportunities for sharing audiences with other people as well. So that is a second way of doing it. And the third and final way, because I don't think I've done a single episode so far that's been under 5 minutes, and I really wanted them all to be under 5 minutes. The third thing you can do is, of course, a collaboration. Get together with someone, you get equal brownie points, and share together. And again, that might be someone out of the second category, and again, it gives you great exposure to their audience as well, because they're going to be people who know people who know people who know people, some of whom might like what you do. And if you're producing the right type of content, as we've spoken about before, and you're being authentic and engaging, then it's a great way to actually produce more content with less effort. That's all I had on content curation. Hit all the usual buttons, do all the usual things, and I will see you next time.